Hello, Leute. Hi, guys. Claire here from Unthinking Aloud, and I brought you out the last of the light. I think I might get 5 or 10 minutes max, maybe a bit longer. To the middle of the fields and the woods, not far from where I live, and there, that thing there, you see the feet of, which is a bit tricky to. Oh, there you go. That is a hunting hide for shooting wild boar. Poor piggies. Anyway, yeah, my evening explorations, and sod's law, middle of nowhere, but here comes the car. Anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about giving it time. So, it's like when I used to live in Manchester, the only way to get a bus to come along was to light a cigarette. And then one would definitely come. So the only way to get anyone to appear in these middle of nowhere roads is to start a video. But anyway, yeah, so my partner Frank, I'm sick of saying my partner, so my partner's called Frank. There you go, it's easier. So Frank came in this morning to me and said, I need your advice about something. And that usually means there's some sort of potential or unfolding drama with someone else, because in many aspects of business and things like that, and just general being organised in life and bureaucracy and stuff, he's way better at it than me. But the thing that he does ask me about is how to kind of navigate tricky people, tricky relationships. And he basically wanted to ask about a situation where somebody that he's been working with has, at the 11th hour, changed the goalposts, which means that he's going to be left out of pocket with a project that they've been doing. Now, it's a very kind of informal project that they've been working on, so there's no contract that's written alongside it, so it's all been kind of like, you know, a nod and a wink, and yeah, this is what we'll do, and it's all going to kind of work out and everything like that. And that's got a beauty about it when things can be so informal, but it can also offer, bring difficulties, because a lot of the time we expect different things from a agreement or from a project. And that's what's happened here. And now, when he first heard about this, I think it was last week or something, he was sat having coffee with this other person, and they were part of a group and what have you, and it was just announced very publicly that something had changed, and therefore the agreed share in some of the profits he was no longer going to get, and that was it. It was delivered as a fait accompli. Therefore, because of this changing, you're not going to get this cut that we said we all agreed that you would get. Now, Frank's really good at not responding in the moment, and I think that probably comes from years and years of working as a salesman, and knowing that if you want to negotiate, you need to keep people on side. But the thing that he struggles with is then when he gets out of the situation, he's like a cow with a big lump of grass, and he can't help but regurgitate in it again and again, chew it over, mull it over. Oh God, it's like picking a scab, you know, a dog with a bone, all of the euphemisms. Basically, he can't stop thinking about it. And it's not just him, we are all like that. Someone has done as a perceived or real slight, they've done something that we didn't expect, and you replay it over and over and over in your head, you know, this script that goes on, and I should have said this and I should have done that, and how I'm going to deal with it, and oh, I can't believe they've done this, you know, and we build on it and we make it a bigger thing than it actually is. And he wanted to know how I thought he should handle it, really. And I'm sure it's pretty boring. It's got pretty boring, not only him, but if you ask anybody that's worked with me in the last few years, in whether it's in my capacity as a counsellor or as a work in supporting communities or small businesses, that kind of thing, whenever anyone asks me anything about someone else has done something to piss me off, what do I do about it? It's a very dull, boring, but effective response, which is nothing. Give it time. It's always give it time. There is such a strong desire in the moment when we are caught up in that reactivity that I talked about in the other videos, which I'll maybe put a quick link to at the end of the video, about how we all react out of that script, and a really easy way to kind of break that is to just take a breath and not respond in the moment, not respond. Now, whether that is in response to an email that someone sent you, someone's said something underhand or has misunderstood something, don't respond in that moment. A good way to deal with it, and what I got into the habit, was leaving the to and the BCC and the CC field completely blank whilst I write my response, write the response. And if it was something that was particularly tricky or could be misunderstood or cause problems, then I would write the response and then I would go to bed at least one night, and I would sleep on it and not respond. There's very little in life that requires that is so dramatic that it requires an immediate response. And if it doesn't require an immediate response, normally they've phoned you and you've probably avoided that misunderstanding. So most of the things, even though we think it's vital that we get back in touch straight away, just give it time, honestly. Social media is another absolute classic. My God, social media. I'm just going to pop my little camera light on and see if that helps. I don't know. Anyway. Social media is an absolute classic. You post something on social media and someone fires off some awful comment, and before you know it, you're in this horrendous thread where all the world and his wife are kind of chiming in and piling in, and what started off as something that no big thing has suddenly become this enormous war where everyone's taking sides and factions, and it's horrible. So again, don't respond. Just wait. Give it time. It's really vital. If you need to rant, then rant, but don't do it directly. If you need to write stuff down, then write it down, but don't do it directly. I cannot stress how it changed my life when I realised that all I needed to do was wait. And it's even more powerful if you can do it in person. So, again, often happens in meetings and stuff, there's something about the meeting dynamic, and if there is an audience there, that if someone who, let's put it this way, has a habit of being a bit of an asshole, or has a habit of taking swipes at people, in order to build themselves up, there is something about being in a room with lots of other people that makes them feel safe enough to kind of do that. And some people do it because it's showboating and they enjoy the attention and the drama and stuff like that. So, but if in that situation you can stay silent, or at most offer a response of something along the lines of, "Oh, that's interesting, thank you," or "Good to have your opinion," but not defend yourself, not try and argue your point, just let it be. Ideally, the best response is absolute silence. It's amazing what often happens. Now, less likely in a kind of committee situation, but if it's one-to-one, and it's happened to me on so many occasions, it's amazing. I've managed to kind of stay quiet and not only stay quiet, but seethe internally about it, but actually just not take it personally. That's a really good, to realise that the person in front of you, how they're reacting, what they're saying, is coming from their own kind of scripted, preconditioned place. So the stuff that's coming out of their mouth is actually not aimed at you. It's nothing to do with you. It's about a lifetime of being conditioned. And if you can realize that and let it kind of flow through you, a good technique is to imagine yourself almost like a cloud. And a cloud has nothing solid in it. So if someone throws an insult at you or says something or, you know, fires a bullet in your general direction, if that was the case, it would just go straight through a cloud. There's nothing to hit. So if you can imagine yourself almost as like this cloud, it's not personal, there's nothing inside of you that it's going to hit, and just stay quiet, it's amazing what can happen. And I have seen time and time again people that have said often the cruelest things, given space and a feeling of no judgment in response to their bizarre comment, very, very often turn around and apologise in the moment straight away and say, you know what, that was completely uncalled for. I don't know where that came from. I'm so sorry. You know, and even if they don't, and they're just puzzled and don't understand why you're not biting, it can diffuse the situation very, very quickly. Now, some people might get even more pissed off because you're not playing the game, you're not entering into the drama. But the thing is, the important thing is, by taking time before you respond to anything, especially when it pushes one of your buttons, you are not adding to the drama and not creating more suffering in the world, which is absolutely vital. And even though you might leave that situation with a kind of that feeling of a bit of a hangover, it can be a shock when people can kind of attack you or do things that you didn't expect, or unthinking things, or deliberately malicious things. It can be a real shock to be brought kind of face to face with that. So you will still have feelings, emotions about it. You might have that kind of hangover effect. But the one thing you will know in your heart is that you haven't added to it. And that is huge. That's enormous. It completely changed my experience of dealing with conflict and dealing with difficulty, you know. So that's it. That's all it is today. Just wanted to say, you know, give it time. When someone presses your buttons, just give it time. When you feel some awful response rising up from your toes, try and keep the mouth closed. Try and keep it to yourself. Just give it time. Okay, folks, it's getting really cold. I look forward to another video soon.